So let's jump on to an Excel file where what I'm gonna show you next is how do we use count and sum, and then we'll jump onto the scenario. Right? Let's look at an easy example first. Okay. So for sake of an example, I have example data. Right? It has around 15 rows in this. Right? And this data is number of transactions the customer has made in various zones, which is south and north, and they have returned a product, right? So for example, the first transaction is from south zone, and customer A has returned 100 units of product, right? And the product is t-shirt men, right? What we want to do is you definitely want to know how many transactions users have made, how many products are returned, total products which are returned, right? Or you would also want to know the count of transactions, right? So let's look at this by a couple of formulas, all of this. So what we will do is we'll list out all the zones, all zones, south zone, north zone. We also want to return number of units, and let me delete all this. So we'll do it fresh. So in first cell, we want sum of returned units. So this is going to be simple. What I will do is I'll select this cell. I'm going to go to the formulas and I'm going to come on maths. Sum function is usually under maths. Okay. So I'm going to use sum, and then I would want to give a range, right? This is my range. And that's it, done. So total number of units which are returned from all the zones is 4,810, right? Let's see how many transactions they have made. So when I say number of transactions, this is nothing but number of rows, right? So I'm going to use, I click on this cell, go to the formula tab. I will have to go to statistical because this is this comes under statistical. I'll go to, no, I think I clicked on a wrong formula. Let me go here and click statistical and go to the count. Right? Now I want to give a range of what I'm counting, right? So I'm going to count the number of transactions. No, this is wrong. So what, I did something wrong. I'll go again. Right? I'll go to statistical. I choose a function, and this is a range. Okay, this is a range from A5 to A19. How many transactions are there? Right? So there's 15. So there are 15 transactions, and within 15 transactions, they have returned 4,810 units, which is nothing but the sum of each of them. Right? Now I would want to know how many of them are in south zone and how many of them are in a north zone. So let's look at a formula, and now we have to add all of the south one, right? So let's do one thing. I'm going to highlight this column so we can see the south and north easily. I'll go to the home tab, we'll perform conditional formatting. I'll say if it is equal to south, make this color as, okay, this is filled. Now what I want to do is I want to highlight this for another one which is north. Okay, I want to fill this with green. Okay, so now I definitely want to know what is the sum of south zone and what is the sum of north zone, right? So I want to add these units for south, which I have highlighted. Okay. Now this is a little bit tricky if you have huge number of data. For now it is good, right? I can add one of them, but imagine you have 20,000 or 40,000 thousands of data. It's difficult, right? So now let's go to sum. Let's go again to the formula. I'm going to look up No, let's go to the maths formula here and scroll down to say sum f. Right? What is the range? The range is this. Okay, no. So and so I definitely want to add them, but what is the range where I'll find a criteria? So my criteria, this is the range of my criteria. First is I give a range of a criteria which is C5 to C19, and then I'll say south. Okay, now some range is nothing but what do you want to add, right? So give a range, what do you want to add? Okay, and to add from F5 to F19, and I'll hit okay, and this is like 2810 units, right? In a simple way, we'll do the same thing for count, right? I want to count number of transactions for south zone. So what is this? This is my range, and my criteria is south. So if I say south here, this is not going to work because south is not in this range, right? So this is wrong. So now I have to, so my range should have the word south. Okay, so now I have to change the range. So I'll click here and I'll say this. Okay, so there are number of transactions count as 9, right? Now let's go to the north zone, do the same thing. Now it's simple for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this formula here, and I know it is north, so I'm going to just replace this with north. I'm doing this in a, this is little bit, there's a formula bar, so you can actually change the values in the formula bar itself, right? Now I'll copy this formula and then I paste it here, right? So now what I want is for north. Okay, and click OK. Now this is how it is. So by looking, first we looked at how many zones are there, we added the zones, and we identified the number of transactions, right? So, and we used formula like sum if, count and countif. Now there are formula of if ifs and countfs, right? Which means that, so in this formula we just had one criteria. Remember here, if I go, I have just one criteria. But if I have multiple criterias, right? For example, I want from south, but I want to know only for women, right? In that case, we have to have multiple conditions, right? And that can only be done by COUNTIFS. So hope this is clear how we work on count if sum if and sum if s function, right?